Good evening, everyone. Let me call to order this meeting of the West Palm Beach City Commission. Today is June 22nd, 2026, and the time is 5 p.m. We will begin this meeting, as we do all of our meetings, with a moment of silence, please. Mr. President, can you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let me go over the rules of civility and decorum which govern this meeting. Officials shall be recognized by the chair and shall not interrupt a speaker. Public comment shall be addressed to the City Commission as a whole and not to any individual on the dais or in the audience. Displays of anger, rudeness, ridicule, impatience, lack of respect, and personal attacks are strictly prohibited. Unauthorized remarks from the audience, stamping of feet, whistles, yells, and similar demonstrations should not be permitted. Please govern yourselves accordingly, as offenders may be removed from the meeting. Also, any person desiring to address the commission shall complete a comment card for each agenda item the person wishes to address. The card shall include the person's full name, address, and the numbered agenda item. If the card is not completed in its entirety, the person will not be recognized. Thank you. Madam City Administrator, are there any additions, deletions, reorganization of the agenda?
No, Mr. Mayor.
All right, very good. Well, we will have the first item on the agenda will be legislative updates. My pleasure to introduce State Representative Gervonta Edmonds to provide that legislative update. Welcome, Gervonta.
Thank you, Mayor. Is it? You guys show me how to explain.
Oh, this is the PDF. We want the.
Whatever you think is best.
There you go. Let's do this guy.
Right.
There you go. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Mayor, Vice Mayor, President of the Commission, City Clerk, one of the most amazing city administrators in the state of Florida, City Attorney, residents of West Palm Beach. My name is Gervonta Edmonds, and I proudly serve you as your state representative for House District 88, which encompasses Lake Park, Riviera, West Palm, Mangonia, and the village of Royal Palm Beach. And of course, the city of West Palm Beach is my favorite city.
You say that to all the cities.
I don't.
But it works, it works, it works.
Well, you all, I will be joined by my Senate sponsor or Senate companion, Senator Bernard. He is on his way. But I'm going to give you a little summary of what happened in Tallahassee. So we spent what was supposed to be 60 days in Tallahassee to pass our constitutional responsibilities, to pass the state budget. We ended up spending 140 days there, so 80 additional days just to pass the budget. We saw over 1,800 pieces of legislation filed, and over 236 actually passed both the House and the Senate. And to date, the governor has signed over 130 pieces of legislation into law. On top of fighting for good bills and stopping the bad bills, we have to fight for appropriations, which are projects that help our community in the most public good. So the Florida House is made up of 120 members of the House. There are 87 Republicans and 33 Democrats, so that is what is called a supermajority. All the members of the House and the Senate are actually up for office this November. Each member of the House is allocated committees, whether it's 4 or 6. I'm honored to have 6 of those committees. I serve as the ranking member for the Health Professions and Programs Subcommittee, and also very proud to be on the Property Tax Committee. So as we talked about appropriation, we also have to fight for, again, good policy and good legislation. It's only about a 12% chance that you will pass a law in Tallahassee. Fortunately, I was able to pass 2. The first bill I'll talk about is House Bill 253, the Veterans Dental Care Grant Program. Essentially, we are allowing more veterans to have access to dental care, just to make sure that they can have the preventative care to make sure that they can have a successful life. I don't know about you all, I had my first root canal maybe 2 months ago, and that was probably one of the worst experiences I've ever been through. It almost took me out, so it's very important that we pass that good piece of legislation. House Bill 4035, I did that with Senator Bernard. That streamlines and makes it more transparent on how to get a construction industry license here in Palm Beach County. We just want to make sure that we're doing everything possible to create safe growth. And the bill that is my passion project that did not pass, House Bill 311, the tax credit. Essentially, we want to ask corporate companies to pay for their employees' first home up to $5,000 and write that tax off to the state. So that bill lasted to the last day of session, the 139th day. So we plan on bringing that bill back next session. So we talked about bills, we talked about appropriations. We were fortunate to only bring home $375,000 for the West Palm Beach membrane pilot testing for alternative water usage. Water quality is a big priority of ours. We're thankful to get $1.5 million for Riviera Beach. As we know, these are our sister cities, so we want to make sure that we're prioritizing water so we can have a safe community here in Palm Beach County. So we talked about the budget, our only constitutional responsibility. We passed a $114.5 billion budget. That is a lot of money, but that's actually less than what we passed last year, about $600 million less. So just like anybody's personal finance, if you are budgeting less each year, more likely you're losing money, which isn't a good sign. And we are also expecting our largest retirement boom in 2030. That is when we're going to see the largest population of baby boomers retiring. Also bringing in less money here in the state of Florida. And as you all remember, we cut the business sales tax, that 2% last session, so we are essentially losing money here in the state of Florida. So we need to make sure we budget accordingly. Thankfully, we restored $60 million to our tri-rail, which was phenomenal funding that we had lost last particular session, so it's great that we got that $60 million back. As you know, that's a major impact to South Florida. Two bills I want to talk about when it comes to housing, which is very important as they're changing the landscape of how housing may be done. House Bill 399, essentially it says that if someone is trying to create affordable housing here in the state of Florida and they meet all rules from planning, zoning to permitting, and they meet all state requirements, that application can be approved on the back end by staff opposed to commission. And so that is a bill that passed this legislative session. On top of that, you have Senate Bill SB 1434. This basically says if the state identifies a parcel as a Brownsfield parcel, which is old, contaminated, maybe a former gas station, a former tire shop, a developer can basically be guaranteed to develop on that if they meet all state standards and local standards. And again, it won't go before the commission, it won't have any public hearing, it will be approved by staff. As you know, we passed some legislation dealing with how people vote. House Bill 991, essentially it says that you can no longer use student IDs and retirement home IDs will no longer be allowed when it comes to voting. You must use your state ID. And of course, we did our 5th special session on redistricting. One of the hugest impact you will see, how redistricting work. If you look at that map, you'll see Congressional District 22, which is really in Wellington, Royal Palm Beach area. That district is going to stretch as far west to Naples. So whoever's running that, it's a very big district. So that is what redistricting does. As you know, Congresswoman Lois Frankel represents District 23. That district is going to cover all the way from Gardens all the way down to Boca, and it roughly remains the same. It just incorporates West Palm and Riviera Beach a little bit more. So we still keep Congresswoman Lois Frankel. Property tax. I know the senator wanted to talk about it, but if he's not here. So as you know, we passed legislation dealing with property taxes. Currently, the homestead exemption is $50,000. If the voters of the state of Florida vote over 60% on this ballot for the cut of property taxes, that homestead exemption will increase from $50,000 starting January 1st to $150,000. On January 1st, 2028, it would be a super homestead exemption of $250,000. It's an easy way to explain it. And to be eligible for this homestead exemption, you have to have lived in your home for 5 years. So you will not get that super homestead exemption until 5 years has passed. Now, when we're talking about non-homestead exemption, our commercial properties are second homes. Right now, we have an annual assessment cap at 10%. That 10% has to be moved down to 5%. Starting in 2029, the homestead exemption could increase even more as it will be tied to the consumer price index. So if inflation is high that year, that homestead exemption could increase to $275, just throwing it out there. This is just an example, not an actual figure. Two more bills and we'll close up and ask to take questions. House Bill 1134, essentially it bans commissioners, elected officials from sponsoring, promoting, or investing in anything related to DEI. And because that definition is not very well defined in statute, that could be anything from a women's event, a men's prostate cancer event, to a veterans event. We don't know. So it's just mindful that us as legislators be cautious of what we promote and support, and those who break that particular legislation could be convicted of malfeasance or mefiance as punishment or penalty. SB 484, this just regulates data centers. So when a large data center moves into the town, this bill says that they have to tell us what utilities they're using and how they're subsidizing it as well. And it just gives overall regulations for huge data centers. So you all, with that being said, I do want to take a moment to recognize my team who's also here with me. My legislative aide is here, Raymond Sarkar. Y'all can give her a round of applause, it's okay. Not to be shy in West Palm Beach. And my district aide, Kiana Kelly. Mayor, I'll take questions if you have any.
Thank you, Representative, for all you do in representing us in Tallahassee in some not necessarily pleasant environment, but you continue to fight the good fight. My major concern as mayor of this city is obviously the property tax issue. It's going to have a serious adverse fiscal effect, not only in our city, but all cities and towns. I noticed at the very bottom of your slide there, you did highlight, you said the real issue is really homeowners insurance.
100%.
And unfortunately, the legislature has been kicking that can down the road for years, probably close to a decade. Is there any effort to address that issue going forward? That's where the real burden on homeowners is. It's insurance premiums.
I agree 100%, Mayor. You were spot on. We were on the same page. Both sides have actually put forth legislation in regards to homeowners insurance. But when the legislature has a focus on a particular priority, everything else is canceled out. And so there has been legislation about reversing how we sue homeowners or property insurance companies. There has been more legislation about transparency of policy, but nothing serious has tangibly came out of the process. We spent 60 days on that, trying to figure out a solution where we should be trying to take all year to do it. So there are some think tanks and groups working together to try to fix that problem.
Yeah. Again, thank you for all that you do for us. Questions, commissioners, comments? That means you did a wonderful job. You have no questions.
I love to hear that. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commission.
Thank you again. We'll now turn to the consent calendar, items 7.1 through 7.8. Are there any cards on consent?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
All right. Let me see if the commissioners have any. All right, Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to go on record. I don't support the consent calendar tonight because of item 7.8 pertaining to the police department repairs. But I did just want to note for the record, for transparency, for anyone watching at home that might not have an agenda in front of them, we did hold a workshop on June 11th. It was a pretty robust discussion and presentation of this item, and that is why it is on consent tonight rather than having an additional presentation. If anyone wants to watch it, it's available on YouTube. So I just wanted to note that for the record. Thank you.
All right, any other comments on consent from the dais? Okay, we do have two cards. One on item 7.5, Michelle Farmer. Michelle Farmer.
I think she's going to speak on that.
Well, okay. So agenda item 7.5. Item 7.8, Amy Triggs.
Is this for the, I was going to speak about the police station.
That's 7.8, yes. No, it's a consent, so if you want to come and talk about it, we're ready to hear your comment.
Hi, my name is Amy Triggs. I live at 208 Monroe Drive in West Palm Beach. So I don't know all the numbers, but I know when the project was first presented to taxpayers, we were told the cost would be approximately $6 million. Then in January, the commission approved another large amount, and tonight you're being asked to approve an additional $14 million. And at some point, I think we need to ask ourselves, when does this stop? It's a classic example of throwing good money after bad. Many people believe the city would have been better served by demolishing the existing building and constructing a new police station at a different location. The current site is in one of the most congested parts of the city. A brand new facility could have been built in a less congested area with easier access by officers. The downtown property itself could have been repurposed for affordable housing or another community need. Instead, the city has continued pouring millions into a building that appears to have far greater problems than originally anticipated. What concerns me most is the lack of proper planning and due diligence at the beginning of this process. Now we find ourselves facing a total price tag approaching $40 million for a remediation project that many residents believe could have been avoided through better planning and a more comprehensive evaluation of alternatives. This is not fiscally responsible stewardship of our taxpayer dollars. We expect our elected officials to carefully evaluate all options, compare costs, and make decisions based on long-term value, not to continue approving change orders and cost increases every few months. I personally would like to know how the costs have escalated so dramatically, what safeguards are in place to prevent future overruns, and why rebuilding was not pursued more aggressively as a potentially more cost-effective solution. We deserve transparency, accountability, and a clear explanation of how we got here. I'm concerned that in another 6 months, you'll be asked to throw more money at the issue. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. I would say that all of those issues and questions were addressed in the workshop, so you might want to watch that presentation. All right, if there are no other questions or comments on the consent item, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of the consent calendar.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign.
No.
All right. There's one vote in opposition, so the motion carries 4-1. All right. We'll now turn to item 8.1. Resolution number 127-26, approving the Public Art Master Plan 2025 to 2030, and she'll explain why it's all really 2026 to 2031. Ms. Cantel.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners. Give me 1 second to get me going. Oh, did I do the wrong one? Oh, okay, thank you. Hi. So, the master plan, 2026-31, it coincides with the ordinance. The ordinance was a little delayed. We'll hear about it later on this evening. So I had to move the dates of the master plan, hence the odd years. But I'm very excited to present to you the updated public art master plan. For the background, the first one came in 2015, right after the amendment of our public art ordinance in 2014. That was between 20 and then followed by 20 to 2025 was the next master plan. And this one really put a more integral role into arts as a positive maker of changes that happened in the city. Then this third iteration, which I know is an odd number, but it's 2026 to 31. This one actually shows strategic goals, curatorial framework, program objectives, the definition of public art, and guidelines, an appendix containing resources and supporting documents. So what do we do in the next 5 years? We are creating that creative momentum is happening to position West Palm Beach. We are a hub. We are continuing to be a hub of artistic innovation. Fred Eversley Portals 2024. I'm just going to point out all the art as we're going through this as well. Our mission is to keep elevating our public spaces through the engagement of public art, and is also to position West Palm Beach as a premier destination for artistic innovation. With that, one of the most important things that came out of the vision is that the art here really plays an integral part of the West Palm Beach identity. So our values, communal expression, freedom of exploration, advancement of artists, enriched dialogue, accessibility and inclusivity, and also local and global collaboration. Yinkashanabari, SBE, Materials SG2. Further with that, we'll have program history, Percent for Art Ordinance, what the Public Art Committee's role is. What you have here is a community portrait, West Palm Beach. This is a temporary project that happened in 2024. I believe a lot of you participated. This is on the Clematis Garage, excuse me. Our strategic goals: to continue to build the city's reputation as an arts destination, to ensure our strong stewardship of art in public places, to foster that appreciation, especially that understanding that arts and its relationship to the quality of life, and also to seek opportunities for public art to be integrated into our daily life. This is a new one. This is Kiki Smith, The Weather, that sits on a public access way between South Flagler and back of PBAU. Our strategic goals: to advocate for the integration of public art through public and private, to provide opportunities for our local artists to expand their practice in the public realm, to continue to distribute public art equitably throughout the city, to further identify downtown as a focal point for arts and culture, and to build community investment in the program. This is another new piece, Allison Janae Hamilton, Love is Like the Sea, #2. That's also abutted right next to the Kiki Smith that I just spoke about. Our curatorial framework. This is now, we're looking curatorially at work when we work both with the public or private sector. And so we're really curating a dialogue between the art, the architecture, and the landscape, and so that each artwork is really thoughtfully cited. That means that it responds to the site in, often surprising or imaginative ways. This is Rodrigo Gargasa, Hollow Jack, that sits on Banyan and South Olive. So what is public art? Public art, in a nutshell, is anything visual or multidisciplinary, a project that's created by a professional artist and installed in a publicly accessible way. This is Louisiana Jones, Narcissus Way. If you have been, off of Olive, there is a new restaurant called Kauai, I think. What? Kiwa, thank you. And both sides of the alleyway have this beautiful tapestry of narcissus with little insects so that you become part of the garden. There's also guidelines for the selection of public art that include the site, the artist selection, the concept design, and then the appendix that I spoke about, which is artist resources, commissioning resources, and deaccession. Jill Hotchkiss, local artist, botanical preserves in South Olive Park. And lastly, I will end it with how you can connect with West Palm Beach Art in Public Places. There are many ways. We have an Instagram account that's very active. We have websites, both under residence and also visit. In the interactive digital kiosks that you see throughout the downtown area, we have a little Yinkashanabari icon, and it's just for the public art, and it gets you to Bloomberg Connects. The picture that you see is Renee Phillips, another public artist in the Northwood Village for the Spruce. And I just want to take a moment to show you this while I have everyone, that it's pretty easy to find the public art in our city as a way to, when people come to visit. And I want to show you that Bloomberg Connects, when I talk about global and local, we are now part of this global network. So you can see that about us. We have a guided walking tour that you can scroll down, and it shows you that it takes 1 hour and 10 minutes to see all the art and hear about it, including you can now listen also to the artist speak.
My name is Allison Janae Hamilton, and I'm happy to share with you a bit about my sculpture, Love is Like the Sea, 2.
So it's just another way to get further engaged with the public art. We have art at the Urban as well. Explore the collection gets you into all the images and descriptions, and more importantly, if you need it, it shows you on the map everything that we're doing. Let me take you back here. So the public art master plan would live here, and that anybody can access it. It is meant to be digital. Trying to get everything in a digital age. And that concludes my presentation. I do have the master plan that I can show you as a PDF really quickly, too.
You're saying you're going to present the PDF to the commissioners?
No, if you'd like to. I mean, it's a lot of words. I just shortened it in my presentation.
Okay.
So it's available if you'd like me to.
All right, very good. Thank you. And thank you for all that you do. I think that you have
thank you.
elevated West Palm Beach and its positioning in the art world by this very comprehensive public arts program that you have put together. So thanks for all your efforts. And
Thank you,
I know
sir.
that will continue. Any questions or comments? Commissioner Fox and then Commissioner Warren.
Thank you so much. It's exciting to see how much progress we've made, and I'm looking forward to the next 5 years. But I have a question. One of the things you mentioned would be that to further identify downtown West Palm Beach as a focal point. I live downtown West Palm Beach. I am very excited to be a neighbor to all of this artwork, but I wondered if you could talk for a minute about your funding and how, I am assuming the reason you're talking about downtown West Palm Beach as a focal point is in part because of the development requirements with the public art. But if you could talk a little bit more about how you're funded and how we make these decisions. That would be great. Thanks.
So we are funded. It's a Percent for Art funding program. It is not taxpayer-based. Everything that is over $500,000 in the entire city of West Palm Beach is subject to the public art requirement if it's applicable. That means that if you're a 501c3, if you're a school or church, it doesn't apply to you. So it goes back to the downtown because most of the development happens there. The private developer has the option of either integrating public art into their site if it makes sense, if they have the spacing, if the funding of that 1% is sufficient to withhold art, or they make the option 2, which is contribution into the public art account at 25% off the 1%, so 0.75%. It is working with the developer to decide what is the best choice for them, and from that, if they choose public art to be integrated onto their site, then the discussions really start. The larger that 1% is, the more likely that I really encourage them, and you'll hear about this later, to get a public art, not public art, but an art advisor, art curator, to be sort of the liaison. And so it's really that private developer who sort of leads the charge in what they would like to see in their development. But know this, that a lot of these private developers also have their own collections. So how does it fit into that? How does it then fit? So my role is really to liaison between them. How does it fit with the city? What works in the city, not just the siting, but also in our climate, and how is the city evolving as well. But that's where the funding comes from. And then everything that we do, it gets allocated, and I always come in front of the commission for that allocation. So you always see it, you always know something's down the pipeline before it happens.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. And Sabile, I agree with the mayor's sentiments and just the progress and everything that we've seen as it relates to public art and just the wonderful direction that we've gone in and how valuable it is to West Palm Beach. I would like to know what, and if it's spelled out with a lot of detail in the master plan, how we intend to work with small businesses and those that are in the community that want to do work with the city as it relates to art. How do they recognize those opportunities, and how are we making sure that the information is ready and available?
Are these businesses that get triggered by the Percent for Art, or these are businesses that exist already who want to add art? So there's a couple of things I could, yes?
No, my question is, as it relates to the public art that we do in relationship to development, and the RFPs and RFQs that go out, are we looking at any local people in the art industry that may be able to participate in those opportunities as they become available?
Local artists and
Yes.
opportunities, yes. So as you can see, so this perfect example, Renee Phillips. So the developers actually went, I don't hold an artist directory of these cities, art and public places. We use the Cultural Council, which has a huge directory. It's almost at 700 artists. I constantly tell artists, go and register your things there. With this private developer, we said, go in here. You can reach them directly and say, this is what I'm looking for. From there, they selected, I think it was 7 local artists. Through them, they paid for proposals, they reviewed them. Then they brought it to the committee. We reviewed them with them. And then they brought it down. And so they were all local artists. So when it makes sense and that's what the developer wants, we absolutely. Sometimes the developer just finds their own local artist. But I would say that the biggest thing I always recommend is, one, do you have an Instagram? One, are you following not only our Instagram, the Cultural Council, the Palm Beach County's Art and Public Places, because there are so many ways to disseminate opportunities, but the biggest one I would say is the Cultural Council. They already have the directory there. They have it in place, and that is where I point everyone to.
So we don't have anything in place. We work on the collaboration with the Cultural Council and rely heavily on their database.
We rely on their database, but not, and word of mouth, and we put it out. So we just had a call to artists. We put it on their database. We put it on the city's Instagram, our Instagram. We asked other municipalities if they could share. Like, we try to get it to Palm Beach County as much as we could. And we had a good turnaround, but we do our best, and I always tell people, I'm like, get yourself out there and noticed, and somebody's gonna be like, that's the kind of art I'm looking for my project.
Sibila, we do have certain programs for local artists, right? Sometimes in the Urban Living Room, we do some things, and
we have right now the Commons. There were 43 applicants that came through that qualified, and of that, the committee just shortlisted 10. Those 10, they're only local, it's Palm Beach County only, and they will present their ideas, and they'll select 5, and those 5 will move forward, and then you'll see those 5 come through here.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you, and thank you for incorporating the existing art. It's always a great reminder of how much beauty we have in the city. With this new plan, what are you most excited about?
What am I most excited about? I think that, well, it's twofold. One, that I'm in its 3rd iteration, which means that, the program is moving forward nicely. We're going into the next 15 years, which is a big deal for a program that I think is still in its youthful stage compared to programs throughout the state of Florida. But I think also the other one is that we have a curatorial framework that brings it back to how important it is that citing is part of how artwork and artists are selected. I think people forget that it has to make sense in the site.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments on this item? Any cards on item 8.1? Okay. Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 127-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sibila. Now, I'm going to make it a slight adjustment to the agenda. I see that State Senator McBernard has come in, and I certainly want to give him an opportunity to address us. Welcome, Senator. It's a pleasure to see you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I apologize for being late. Today was my daughter's first day at University of Central Florida, so I had to move her in, and my move-in time was at 1 p.m. today. So I moved her in, and I left at 2:30 to try to be here, so I apologize, Mayor, Commissioners.
No apology necessary. It's good to have you, sir.
Thank you. This year's been an interesting year in Tallahassee. 3 major items, which was the budget in Tallahassee, which we went to extra overtime to pass the budget, redistricting, and property tax. And I want to thank Representative Edmonds for being here. And so I just want to give you just a quick update on the budget that we're waiting for the governor to sign the budget. The fiscal year begins on July 1st. We're expecting the governor to sign it today, but what I'm hearing is that sometimes midweek is when the governor will sign the budget. And so we'll get a chance to see what items that the governor has decided to veto. But I do have some exciting appropriations for the city of West Palm Beach that are items that are incorporated in the city of West Palm Beach that I want to go over with you. In the budget for the Boys and Girls Club Teen Workforce Readiness Center, we have $1.5 million in the budget for the Boys and Girls Club. Roosevelt Elementary School Program Enhancement, $440,000. The Palm Beach County Australian Avenue Drainage Project that the governor had vetoed last year, it was at $843,000, but this year we have $2 million in the budget for the Australian Avenue project. The YMCA of the Palm Beaches Community Center, $1.5 million in the budget. The Cox Science Center and Aquarium expansion, $3 million in the budget. The Trauma Hawk that's needed for the healthcare district, this was the first year that we sought appropriations, and we have $3 million in the budget for the Trauma Hawk for the healthcare district. Next is for Representative Edmonds mentioned the $375,000 for the membrane pilot testing program. The fire department for West Palm Beach, $163,000 for that. The West Palm Beach Old Okeechobee Rail Safety Intersection Improvement, that's a Fern Street crossing. We have $3 million in the budget for that. The West Palm Beach Downtown Signalization, $3 million for that. Palm Beach Atlantic University, $2 million for that. And then we've got the Connections Autism School and Vocational Center expansion, which is in West Palm Beach, $1 million. And the Arc of Palm Beach County is completing their special needs center. We have $1.5 million for that. So we're really excited about these appropriations for the city of West Palm Beach. And what we're hoping is that the governor will not exercise his veto pen. But I'm sure there'll be some projects that will get nixed by the governor. But in all, we believe that for the city of West Palm Beach and for residents of District 24, that we've worked hard to try to bring appropriations to West Palm Beach. So that's really an update on the budget, and any questions for me, would love to answer it.
Well, not a question, but I certainly want to publicly thank you, Senator, because you have worked hard on particularly those appropriations for the city. And being a Democrat, it's not always easy in Tallahassee these days. So thank you for all of your efforts to bring the bacon home back for West Palm Beach. We'll keep our fingers crossed and see what happens with respect to the governor's view of those things. But I certainly wanted to thank you for all that you've done. Worked very hard on behalf of the city and the residents of the city. So thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Bernard, for your representation for so many years and in so many ways. Can you tell us just a little bit more about Bill 1134, the DEI restrictions that are going into place?
I think the 1134, did that bill?
House Bill 11?
I don't think it. I don't think the DEI bill was heard in.
Yeah, House Bill 1134 essentially says that if you promote or invest into any DEI initiatives from a commissioner standpoint, you can be convicted of malfeasance or mefiance. That's the DEI bill.
So let me take a look at it, and then I'll get back to you on it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Senator Bernard? Well, Senator, again, thank you so much, and congratulations on your daughter starting college. I know it's a big day for you as a dad, so thank you, sir. Congratulations to you.
Just one more to go.
Okay, we will now move to item 9.1, public hearing of resolution number 108-26, establishing the rates for the fire service assessment fee for fiscal year 2026-2027, and approving the assessment roll and setting the date for a public hearing on August 17th, 2026. Ms. Souffrant.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Bridget Souffrant, Chief Financial Officer. My presentation this evening will discuss the Fire Assessment Fee Fund and the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget, as well as the proposed fire assessment fee rate used to calculate that budget. Before you this evening is Resolution 108-26, which establishes the preliminary fire assessment fee rate and sets that public hearing date for August 17th, 2026. In 2008, the city adopted Ordinance 4141-08, creating the Fire Assessment Fee Fund. This fire assessment fee is a reoccurring special assessment that is brought forward annually. The fire assessment fee was created to assist in funding a portion of our fire services costs. The general fund and general property taxes cover the remainder of the fire services and all of our emergency medical services because EMS costs are not eligible under the fire assessment fee. Ordinance 4141-08 calls out in detail the fire service related items that can be funded with fire assessment fee, which includes things such as facilities, land, equipment, personnel for fire services, and professional services, to name a few. This slide shows that ordinance in its entirety. Special assessments, as a reminder, are charges against our real property for costs incurred by the government to provide benefits to that property. Unlike our property taxes, which these have a specific purpose that special assessments must be used for. Your fire assessment fee provides comprehensive fire services and offers benefits by protecting the value and integrity of our improvements to the real property. It helps reduce cost of fire insurance and enhances the market perception and property values. The proposed fire assessment fee for fiscal year 2027 will remain unchanged and the same rates as since fiscal year 2020. As you can see, we have 5 different categories or use categories for this fee. The residential fee of $100 per dwelling unit will remain the same, as will the 4 other category unit costs by a square foot. They will all remain the same. At the March 9th Mayor Commission work session, we brought in our consultant Sandy from Accenture to give a presentation reviewing the fire study and the background and purpose of the fire assessment fee, as well as reviewing how the rates were determined. Sandy also discussed the discounts and buy-down for the government and not-for-profit entities within the city. The commission held some discussion on whether the city should continue the practice of keeping the 80% discount for the not-for-profit institutions, or if we should remove that discount and charge the full amount per the ordinance allowable charges. At the March 23rd Mayor Commission work session, staff reported that the 80% discount or buy-down for the not-for-profit properties equated to $700,000 of revenue that the fire assessment fee program could be collecting. At that time, the commission, in consensus, asked staff to present the preliminary resolution that's in front of you tonight with the discount for the not-for-profit entities removed, adding that revenue into the fiscal year 2027 budget. Based on the approval of the preliminary resolution this evening, Accenture will work on preparing the required notices that need to be mailed to the not-for-profit entities detailing the upcoming change, as well as the regular notices that go out for any new properties or other changes. Those notices will go out by July 27th. In advance of the notices and this evening's meeting, there have been notices placed on the city's website landing page, as well as being included in the mayor's weekly newsletter in an effort to give as much advance notice as possible to these entities. Shifting now into reviewing our proposed fiscal year 2027 fire assessment budget. Here we're showing fiscal year 2026 adopted budget compared to the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget. The fire assessment revenue is reflective of the $700,000 revenue to be realized with the removal of the discount for the not-for-profit entities. And carry forward is used often to offset our capital items that are being funded. Shifting into the expenditures, we again are comparing our fiscal year 2026 adopted budget with the proposed fiscal year 2027 budget. Our personnel services show a very slight reduction because in fiscal year 26, we were budgeting for a retirement within the personnel that are charged to fire assessment. So that removal from the budget offset the increases from the fiscal year 27 items. Materials and services actually saw something very similar with an item in the 26 budget that then offset in 27. Our internal service charges are flat, and our transfers out increased significantly due to various capital expenditures, which we'll go into more detail in the upcoming slides. As you can see detailed on this slide, the proposed fiscal year 2027 fire assessment fee fund budget includes 13 firefighters, which includes the 4 that were added during fiscal year 26, 4 equipment maintenance staff, an assistant fire chief, and a division chief. We also have materials and services, which cover travel and training for our annual certifications, uniform and bunker gear that are on our replacement plan cycle, equipment maintenance, and some exterior painting at stations 3 and 7. So new this year, in the inclusion of the proposed FY27 budget, will be 3 leases for 3 new fire trucks. So part of the advantage of leasing fire trucks is you're paying over time because they are large expenditures and we're in need of them now. So paying for them over time allows us to get them ordered. It's at a minimum of a 2-year lead time before we can actually receive the trucks. So we are working with an entity to bring in these 3 trucks and work through a 7-year lease on those items. So year 1 is included within your debt service and shows up in our transfers out category. And then we also have the following one-time capital items that are being budgeted, moving from fire assessment into the capital expenditures fund, which is why they show as a transfer out. So we're looking at fire station number 6, retrofit hardening, fire station number 1, doing a site assessment, fire station number 5, HVAC replacement and compressor, and fire station number 7, the diesel above ground storage tank needs replacement. And then we are working on the self-contained breathing apparatus replacement, which we're still waiting to hear back from a grant that we've put in, the fire department's put in for that. So that could reduce this by $2 million, but we would most likely not have time or have that in for the budget, and we would reappropriate later in the year. So the key dates that lay ahead, July 27th is when we will mail those notices to the affected property owners. August 17th is when you will set the final fire assessment rate resolution, as well as the chronic nuisance. September 8th is our first public hearing for the fiscal year 2027 budget, and September 23rd, final public hearing on that budget. Are there any questions on this item?
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions or comments, commissioners, on that item? Commissioner Ward?
Thank you. I know at our work session, we went back and forth on the study that we did, the actual fire assessment recommendation, and I just want to remind, are we reviewing that for an updated study? What's happening with that review as far as, because I forget the total amount that we have, the $100, and we decided not to change that. But are we still looking at, hey, maybe we should be updating that in anticipation of, property tax changes and whatnot?
The read from the March 23rd Mayor Commission meeting was that the commission was not interested in looking at increasing the fee, but was interested at looking at removing the discount, which is why we have it positioned the way that we do today. There was going to be further discussion, to my memory, on coming back to authorize another study being done, that because it was 5 to 6 years of data that needed to be updated to assess what we could be. I know we could increase the rate still within the old study, but I think we wanted to also check the data and update it.
Thank you. Follow up?
Yes.
And thank you, because I'm just trying to refresh my memory as well of where we left off on that. And I think it is prudent for us to maybe have that discussion one-on-one with staff and figuring out whether it's prudent for us to do and get ahead of it and get at the study pending what happens in the property tax vote.
All right, we'll have staff go around, circle around and talk to each of Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. Just to that point, I think there was some discussion about a certain date that you needed to hear from us by in order for that study to move forward for maybe for the next year for us to consider. There was some amount of months or years or something that was needed for us to give you in advance, and just if you remember what that is, or when you circle back, you can just let us know.
I know that our consultant said if we were going to update the study, she would like to know to be able to start in October. So we would just have to have the clear direction that that's what you are looking for us to move forward with that.
All right, make your rounds and then let me know what the sentiment might be. Any other comments from the dais? All right, we do have two cards. Michael Cleveland and Ryan Stacy. Michael Cleveland.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioner, staff. Michael Cleveland, City. I'm going to pose this assessment. I don't know how many different assessments the city asked the public. This is in addition to their current requested budget, and also in addition to the requested funds you ask from the county every year. Excuse me. So you're asking the citizens now to finance their perks, essentially what you're doing. And I don't see a reason for it. I mean, people are struggling every day, and you still want to, it's easy for you guys to do this, just ask, and we shall follow. It's just no stop, no ending to this. It's got to be an ending somewhere in sight. No matter how many people are displaced from their homes or homeless or whatever, we still ask, not we, but you still ask for money for different things. People can't pay their taxes. I don't know. There's something needs to be done other than this. But thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Ryan Stacy.
Sorry. Put my glasses on. That's what happens when I turn 40, I guess. Ryan Stacy. I am an operations lieutenant here in the fire department, and I also get the privilege of representing the almost 300 firefighters for the Firefighters Union. We are in support of this, but we are opposed to the allocation of the additional revenue going to offset what's already being funded in the city. As firefighters, we believe that any new revenue coming from the fire assessment fee should go to increasing the services to the residents. To Mr. Cleveland's point, if they're going to be paying more money, and these businesses are going to be paying more money, they should be getting additional services, in our opinion. The city's growing. We talk a lot about smart growth, and I think that's one of those subjective things that means something different to everyone. To the firefighters, smart growth means that as buildings pop out of the ground and residents come into the city, that we put more frontline responders out in the field. And I think the good news is we've done that. Mayor, you know, since 2019, you fully staffed Station 8, fully staffed Station 7. We've put 3 new units in the downtown area and actually upgraded one of our other units in the downtown area. 2 of those units came out of last budget year, and some of those have been funded from this fire assessment fee. So for the residents, I want everyone to know that it is going towards increasing your services. One of the first things Ms. Johnson did when she came in here, when we met with her, we had some conflict with the previous city administrator who promised us to put another unit in the downtown area, and it wasn't happening. And she did that. So we were very happy about that when she came in and immediately made that decision to do that. One of the areas that we're lacking now, because we've been growing so much in that frontline response, is in our support services, in our administration. So Chief Matty has done an absolute phenomenal job of making sure that every dime that comes into her budget goes to providing better response. She's actually single-handedly wrote tens of millions of dollars worth of grants. So huge thing for all of us, and it's a huge win for firefighters and for the residents, but some of that has been at the detriment of our administration. So we are kind of running on a skeleton crew, and I would just ask for the city commission, for city administrator, to consider continuing to staff that. We have a big need there, and if we don't take a little bite out of it each budget year, it's going to be hard to catch up as we go into subsequent budget years. So please, I know that it's a challenge and you're dealing with some budget issues, but Chief Maddie's incredibly creative with staffing. Ms. Johnson, I know you're a wizard when it comes with the numbers, and you can sharpen your pencil and find money where seemingly money doesn't exist. So I just ask that you do that and consider that for this budget year. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, if there are no other, Ms. Johnson, did you want to respond to that?
Well, and maybe Ms. Souffrant can explain it, because I'm not following where an increase, is dialed into this. The rates are staying the same, because the board, if you were to approve the resolution, we would be eliminating the discount to the nonprofits. So that $700,000 that is freed up, if it were not freed up, would be coming out of the general fund to subsidize the fire assessment fee. So that $700,000 that is freed up is going directly into the fire assessment budget and expenditures. It does not have to come out of the general fund. And to put it into further context, if I take you back to the work session we just had on the draft FY27 budget, the bottom line is that we have about $2.2 million of undesignated revenue that is pending undesignated expenditures. If we were to pick up the $700,000, should you decide to not approve it, that $2.2 million goes down to $1.5 million, because that's a cost to the general fund. So I'm not sure where we are getting the perception that we have increased revenue that we're not utilizing for the fire assessment fee. That is precisely what we're doing. And if I'm understanding it incorrectly, please correct me for the record.
You are not incorrect, Ms. Johnson. You are correct. And I was looking to also clarify that the comments that were made are not correct. The fee is not increasing. We have been giving a discount to the not-for-profit entities, which is funding that was based off of the existing services, which in all reality, we've been doing ourselves a disservice and the fire department a disservice by not collecting those funds, because these entities are using the services that we have. I would also like to communicate that our contractor from Accenture, during her presentation, communicated that if we were to increase the fee, which we are not and have not proposed to increase it, we do not have to provide new services, because as we currently stand, the general fund is paying for 80% of our fire services costs, and the fee was intended to pay for more than what it is currently doing. The fire assessment fee was intended to pay for more than what it is currently doing, but our expenses have outpaced what that study was when it was done in 2019. And that is because we and administration have deliberately taken the steps of continuing to add personnel to the fire department because of the needs for the city and the staffing that was there. We added 4 firefighters into the fire assessment fee fund alone. I know, I just can't remember right now because I'm not dialed into the general fund, but I know we added command staff into the fire department, I believe, in the FY26 budget as well. I think a lieutenant. But mainly, the fire assessment fee funds we have been using heavily for capital needs within the fire department where allowed. In fiscal year '24, $4.2 million went towards capital needs within the fire department. 2025, $1.1 million. 2026, $2.1 million. And now in the proposed 2027 budget, we have $7 million allocated towards capital needs within the fire department. So I can confidently stand here today saying we are pouring into the fire department with these fire assessment fee funds.
Thank you for that clarification. Any other comments or questions on this item? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I just wanted to say that putting the fire assessment fee aside, I think there were some important points made by our fire department that if there are support services and administrative needs that they have, I would hope that we can continue to look for ways in either the general fund or from the fire assessment fee to provide the needs that for them to get their jobs done. And I wasn't aware of it until now. I'm not sure we've discussed that very in depth during our budget cycle. But I also just wanted to reiterate what you've all said now, that we are not raising the fire assessment fee for residents. And it was very important, I think, to all of us collectively that we would hope that we could even give a millage reduction this year, but we're still working that out. But if we were going to raise the fire assessment fee and give a millage reduction, it kind of was going to balance out, and that is obviously a very difficult time. People are struggling, and so we are not raising this fee, and just want to say it a third time. Thanks.
Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 108-26.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.2, public hearing of resolution number 139-26, directing the development of the preliminary assessment roll for the chronic nuisance assessments for 2026 and setting the date for a public hearing for final adoption of the chronic nuisance assessment roll on August 17th, 2026. Ms. Souffrant.
Good evening again, Mayor, Commissioners. Bridget Souffrant, Chief Financial Officer. In 2011, the city adopted a series of ordinances intended to change the way the city deals with chronic nuisance properties and chronic nuisances in general. The City Commission declared that any unpaid chronic nuisance service charges, unpaid code enforcement, re-inspection assessment charges, or unpaid costs incurred through an abatement of code violations that remain delinquent as of June 1st shall become a special assessment against these properties as a non-ad valorem assessment. It is equal in rank and dignity to a lien for ad valorem taxes. The approval of the resolution this evening will direct the preparation of that preliminary assessment roll, and it will set the date for the public hearing on August 17th, 2024. And just as an additional reminder, this is the time then when we begin sending out the mailings again, where we are looking and pushing for collection so that we don't have these items go on to the special assessment. So we will bring this forward on August 17th with the final remaining properties at that time. Any questions?
Thank you for that presentation. Any questions or comments, commissioners? And there are no cards. All right. If there aren't, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 139-26. We'll schedule the public hearing for final adoption of the chronic nuisance assessment roll on August 17, 2026.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.3, public hearing and second reading of ordinance number 5168-26, amending the Code of Ordinances at Chapter 22, Businesses and Business Regulations, Article 2, Certificate of Use, to clarify that a certificate of use is required for all business and commercial uses.
Good evening, Mayor, City Commissioners. Angela Van, Assistant Development Service Director. This is second reading. There have been no changes since first reading.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on this item, commissioners? Any cards? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5168-26.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5168-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending the Code of Ordinances of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, at Chapter 22, Businesses and Business Regulations, to amend Section 22-31, Definitions, and Section 22-33, Application for Certificate of Use for New Business, to clarify that a certificate of use is required for all business and commercial uses, providing a severability and codification clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. We'll now move to item 9.4, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5172-26, amending and restating the public art program by amending and relocating the provisions of Chapter 78, Article 5, Public Art, Section 78-10, Monuments, and Section 94-410, Murals, and creating Chapter 43, Public Art. Ms. Cantel.
Sibila Kantal, Director of Arts, Culture, and Community Building. So a little background first. The Public Art Ordinance was first adopted in December 2nd of 1985, which created the Public Art Places Committee consisting of 7 members. After that, it wouldn't be until 2014 where the Public Art Ordinance was amended and reinstated to create the Art in Public Places program. That same ordinance directed that the ordinance be reviewed after 1 year of implementation and reported back. The following year, in 2015, was when the Public Art Master Plan came into being, so these were coincided. Ordinance number 4754-17 adopted revisions by the recommendation of the consultant at the time of the Public Art Master Plan. And 4915-20 had additional revisions to support the Public Art Master Plan and amend the article in General 1, Section 7810 of Monuments. So it's had a bit of a history. The biggest news for this public art is that it's creating its own chapter, Chapter 43, Public Art Within the Code. It existed in Chapter 78. Throughout the ordinance, the word article is now changed to chapter. Also, throughout the ordinance elements, the word is removed. Some of the definitions have been tightened, including affordable housing. Added also was workforce housing and its definition, as well as art consultant and advisor. And the other definition that was tightened was the definition of local artist, which is defined as one who resides in Palm Beach County. Further to definitions was a tighter definition of maintenance, and that included that when artwork, the surrounding area of lighting and surrounding landscape. And then further to that, the word historical has been removed from the ordinance. The criteria for art added no commercial messaging. A proposed artwork cannot infer commercial messaging for development or resemble a business logo. Then the rest of it, through the inclusion, is the addition of the planning and zoning EPL application. When the ordinance first, the last ordinance that happened in the 20s, EPL didn't exist. So we're adding that to make it clear that as part of that approval process, at that development application, that is when the Art in Public Places comes forward. This includes during site plan, again, adding during planning and zoning of EPL application. The public art application, we tightened the definition of prior to the issuance of the project building permit is when a public art application should be submitted. And then the review by the Art in Public Places Committee should happen at 45 days at least. Currently it's at 30. This gives it a little more time. Further to that is the contribution of the public art. If they do, if the developer chooses option 2, again, adding planning and zoning EPL application. Then we tighten the words for those requirements within public projects. If there are eligible public and capital improvement projects in the public sector, that not less than 1% of that be put aside into the public art account. the removal of Section 78-137, the removal of unsolicited public art proposals has been taken out. The addition of murals, but these are for references only. The city's public art program does not govern murals outside of its percent for art, meaning that if a private entity with private funding would like to put a mural up, they can do so without going through public art review. However, if it has any kind of commercial speech or considered a sign, it has to go through Chapter 94, which lands in planning and zoning. So it's here put as a reference so if anybody's looking for it. Additionally, we've added also that it can't interfere with any traffic safety or otherwise endanger public safety, again, as a reference, which should go to code. Monuments, which still reside partially in the Art and Public Places Ordinance, now has its own section in there. It's still something that comes forward to City Commission first. And there's no fiscal impact with the changes and additions to the Art and Public Places Ordinance. And the second reading is scheduled for July 6th.
Thank you very much for that presentation. Any questions, comments, Commissioners? Commissioner Sylvester?
Hi. Could you speak a little bit about the removal of historical or cultural elements? I can't remember.
The historical was put in there, but the committee are not versed in historical, so we would always send it to the historical board. So this eliminates that and gives it to the board that actually oversees that. Cultural, it was too broad. You know, is it art or not art?
Thank you.
No problem.
Any other questions or comments? And there are no cards, so I will entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5172-26 on first reading and scheduled second reading for July 6, 2026. Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5172-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending and restating the public art program within the Code of Ordinances of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, by amending, replacing, and relocating the provisions of Chapter 78, Streets, Sidewalks, and Public Places, Article 1 in general, Section 78-10, Monuments, and Article 5, Public Art, Section 78-122 through 78-137, and Section 94-410, Murals, creating a new chapter, Chapter 43, Public Art, providing a codification clause, providing a conflict and severability clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.5, public hearing and first reading of ordinance number 5173-26, a city-initiated request for a text amendment to Chapter 94 Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 7, Special Districts, Section 94-219 Broadway Mixed Use District to clarify provisions regarding the development of townhomes, and Section 94-215 Curry Mixed Use District to modify the height bonus incentive requirements for improvements to Curry Park.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. Ana Maria Ponte, Development Services Director. As the Mayor said, this is a city-initiated request for a text amendment to Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 7, Special Districts, to amend regulations regarding the BMOD district and the CMOD district. So it's a two-part request. The first one is regarding the Broadway mixed-use district, and it's an amendment specifically for the townhouse regulations. The regulations for BMOD was approved by the City Commission last March through Ordinance 5122-24, and adopted new regulations for the Broadway mixed-use district that it's basically approximately 43.9 acres of land from 25th Street to the north city limits of the city along Broadway, adjacent to single family. The principles that were adopted were intended to promote redevelopment as a mixed-use district with emphasis in residential uses, protect the single-family residential fabric adjacent to the corridor, and improve the quality of the public realm to create an attractive pedestrian-friendly corridor. These are some images that were included in the amendment to just give an impression what is the intended goal of the corridor. The base zoning allows 3 stories, and then the proposed incentives allow development to go up to 7 stories with the inclusion of affordable housing. Part of the typologies proposed for the redevelopment include the proposal to have townhouses as a permissible typology within the district. The provisions that were included in the regulation, it had been identified that may conflict with the construction of townhouses for sale. And this is very specific. There's certain provision in the regulation about the mid-block setback that requires that when you have 2 different properties, there's a separation or an interior setback between those properties. When you have a townhouse project that is a for sale product, you will have 2 different owners on those houses. So technically, that setback will trigger for a townhouse development, but for a townhouse, that's not the intent, so we're just cleaning up the record and basically excluding that the mid-block setback is not required for townhouse projects. In addition, there's another minor cleanup that we are proposing is regarding steps located along the frontage zone. One of the big provisions that we included in the Broadway mixed-use district was the creation of a public realm along Broadway. And that is basically any project coming in within the corridor will have to set back the building 17 feet from the back of the existing curb to allow for a frontage area that allows landscape, a sidewalk, and what is called a frontage zone. That frontage zone was intended to have additional landscape, maybe sidewalk seating for cafes, and then it has been determined that it could be used also in the cases of townhouses for the steps leading to the townhouse. So the code does not allow that provision, but we wanted to clarify that it's allowed. And this is a picture as a reference of what is the goal for that, or what is the intent of that regulation. So we are just including regulation that clarifies that that frontage zone is allowed to have elements of the building, such as steps or ADA ramps to access the entrance to the buildings, as long as they are clear of the pedestrian or clear path for the sidewalk. Those are the amendments for the BMOD. Now we are proposing also one particular amendment for the current mixed-use district, and this district is included it includes the area located between 27th Street on the north, 14th Street on the south, Flagler Drive, and Dixie Highway. It is divided in different districts and have specific characteristics and maximum heights allowed within the district. There is specific provisions that allowed additional height permitted through a height bonus incentive that provides a public benefit. One specific incentive is specifically regarding the improvements to Corey Park. So a developer, it's allowed to obtain 1 additional foot of height for every $25,000 in contribution directed specifically to the construction of improvements to Corey Park or payments made for the construction. This is the table that has all the bonus incentives, and it specifically says how many feet in height can be achieved through this payment. So what we are proposing, we have just one project. Actually, right now we have 2 projects that have paid. The Olara Residential has made already a contribution. They will contribute $3.6 million to the construction of the park, and that payment right now under the current regulations will be paid prior to CO. So what we are proposing is to modify the language for the contribution, because the Curry Park is already designed and the construction is underway. We're expected and we're very excited that it will be completed by 2027. So we are suggesting to modify the language to allow additional flexibility in the use of the funds collected for the Curry Park. Once the park is completed, the funding will be needed for operations, management, and programming for the park. So we are suggesting language that allows that flexibility. So if we need additional money for construction, it can be allocated for that. But if that is completed, we can allocate those funds collected for the operation, management, and programming of the park. We're also including regulation that specifies at what time the payment is done, and we're suggesting proposing that 50% is paid by the developer at the issuance of the first building permit, with the remaining 50% at the issuance of the certificate of completion for the building. This is the exact language, but I'm not going to read it. And then that is basically the two amendments. Staff has found that the proposed amendments comply with the standards in Section 9432A. Staff is recommending approval of Ordinance 5173-26 based on the findings that the petition complies with the amendment standards in Section 9432. The proposed amendment were presented to the Planning Board on January 21st, and they were recommending approval 5-0. That concludes the staff presentation.
Thank you very much for the presentation. Any questions, comments? Commissioner Fox?
Thank you. I have a question about the CMUD incentives. I think that's great if we have other uses for those dollars, but I just want to ensure that if we're changing where the payments are going to, let's say to programming or management, that it's basically they're paying us for the incentive and then that's it. They're not expecting to have their names on our programming and things like that.
No, it's just it's the same contribution. It's just allowing the flexibility for those funds.
Okay, thank you.
The use of the funds.
Any other questions or comments? Any cards? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of ordinance number 5173-26 on first reading and schedule second reading for July 6, 2026. This motion is based upon the staff report, factual testimony, the recommendation of the Planning Board, and the findings that the proposed amendment complies with the amendment standards in Section 94-32 of the city's zoning and land development regulations.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion. Hearing none. Madam Clerk, can you read the ordinance, please?
Ordinance number 5173-26, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of West Palm Beach, Florida, amending Chapter 94, Zoning and Land Development Regulations, Article 7, Special Districts, Section 94-219, Broadway Mixed Use District, to clarify provisions regarding the development of townhomes, and Section 94-215, Curry Mixed Use District, to modify the height bonus incentive requirements for improvements to Curry Park, providing a conflict clause and a severability clause, providing an effective date, and for other purposes.
All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Item 9.6, public hearing of resolution number 121-26, accepting the fiscal year 2025 award of $84,415 in grant funding from the U.S. Department of Justice Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program to be used for the purchase of a force-on-force modular training system, and resolution number 142-26F, recognizing and appropriating the fiscal year 2025 grant award funds from the U.S. Department of Justice Edward J. Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant Program, and a transfer of funds from the state law enforcement forfeiture proceeds.
Mayor, Commissioners, Lori Colombino, Major with the West Palm Beach Police Department. This is for the 2025 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistant Grant, the JAG grant. And the JAG grant is an annual fixed amount. The police department was awarded $84,415 last year. Command staff determined to utilize these funds to purchase a force-on-force modular training system. The training system will allow officers and trainers to assess responses to realistic situations, which will likely enhance community and officer safety. The total for the system is $107,690.04. To pay the balance, the remaining balance, we would request a transfer of $23,275.04 from the state forfeiture funds. And this is an example of what it would look like. We can move the walls around. And do you have any questions?
Thank you very much for that presentation. Commissioner Fox.
Thank you, Major Colombino. It's very nice to say that. It has a nice ring to it. Congratulations on your promotion.
Thank you.
This is fantastic. I was especially interested to read in the backup that it would be helping with different skills, including mental illness and a lot of other things that police encounter every day. I'm just curious, who will be using this? Is this training that is for a specialized team, or is it something that all of your officers will be training on?
This will be annual training for all officers.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Any cards on this item? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Mayor, I move approval of resolution number 121-26 and resolution number 142-26F.
It's been moved. Is there a second? Second. Been moved and second. Discussions? Hearing none. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Hearing no opposition, motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
We now turn to comments from the public, and we have several cards. So I'm going to call out 4 at a time, and if you could start making your way toward the podium when you hear your name. Alex Stein, Michael Butler, and Sylvester Bryant, and Shirley Bryant. Alex Stein, Michael Butler, Sylvester, and Shirley Bryant. Alex Stein. Is there an Alex Stein here? All right, Mr. Stein. Michael Butler.
Good evening, Mayor, Board. I'm concerned about the...
State your name for the record, sir, please.
Michael Butler, 610 Clematis Street, apartment 733. I'm concerned about the potential appointment, of Jordan Rathler to Downtown Development Board. I think it would create a conflict of interest. As an executive with Ray Ross, Mr. Rothman may face challenges in making fully independent decisions about downtown rehab and redevelopment. As a taxpayer, I believe the board should be composed of independent members who are free from potential conflicts and able to represent the public interest. I respectfully request that his name be withdrawn from consideration. In addition, Bernardo Nento, who manages the Ross-related hotel, should be asked to resign from his position and should be filled by somebody from the downtown area. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sylvester Bryant.
I'm Shirley Bryant. I'll speak.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, you
Okay.
speak as Shirley, and if he wants to speak, he...
Okay. My name is Shirley Bryant, and first of all, Mayor, all commissioners. My name is Shirley Bryant, and we are the owners of 2 homes on Palm Beach Lakes Boulevard, and I'm also the co-owner of my mother's home, which is at 1354 10th Street, where she has lived there for many years and now is the last original homeowner on the street. I'm here because our neighborhood has reached a breaking point, and the residents, we deserve immediate actions. I have a simple question for each of you. Would you accept a homeless encampment operating less than a quarter mile from your own home? Would you accept people sleeping, loitering, washing clothes, and occupying public spaces near your neighborhood every day? This is what we have at Westward Linear Park. I didn't even know it was a park, but that's what they call it. Would you accept your Ring camera being triggered throughout the day and night by constant foot traffic and vehicles traveling back and forth on your street? Because that is exactly what my family and our neighborhoods are experiencing. My mother suffers from dementia. Instead of her being able to enjoy the peace and security she earned after decades of her own home ownership, she is subjected to constant activity outside her home. Her Ring camera alerts me, alerts her, just alerts all of us throughout the day and night because of the steady stream of pedestrians and homeless folks walking the streets of 10th Street and vehicles. No homeowner, especially an elderly resident living with dementia, should have to endure this. Since access around the Curry Park, Flagler area was blocked, the homeless activity has not it has not disappeared. It has appeared. It's crazy. It has simply been relocated into our residential neighborhoods. Our community has become the unintended coincidence of that decision. The city cannot simply close one location and consider the problem solved. The people have moved, and now the burden has been placed on homeowners who have invested their lives in their neighborhood. I understand that homelessness is a complex issue and that those experiencing homelessness deserve compassion and access to services. However, compassion for one group should not come at the expense of the safety, peace, and quality of life of another. Residents have rights too. Today, I am asking the city to take immediate actions. My recommendations would be to install a secure fence around this Westwood Linear Park until sufficient funding is available.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Oh, that's my
Assistant City Administrator Fano or Jose Luis, could you speak to at least find out the location where all this is, and we could follow up internally, please? Thank you. Those gentlemen, if you want to see one of those gentlemen over there to your left, ma'am. Yeah. What was his name? Did you want to speak, sir? Okay. 4 more cards. Harriet Janish, Satima Fowler, John McNamara, and Amy Triggs. Harriet Janish.
Taxation without representation
Could you
is
state
an
your name for
example
the record, please?
of the DDA.
State your name and address for the record, please.
Board members are not residents.
Ma'am, could you state your name and address for the record, please, before you start talking?
I'm sorry.
Could you state your name and address for the record before you start speaking so they can hear it? This is being recorded.
Can they reset the time then?
Yes,
when I
ma'am.
can start?
That's
when,
okay.
When I start. Harriet Yanich, 2 City Plaza. Taxation without representation is an example of the DDA because the majority of board members are not residents. Residents in this district pay 4.5% of their property tax to the DDA. We should have a minimum of 4 residents of this district on the board, plus a representation from businesses and property owners. No outsiders, no developers. Developers are in business to build and enhance their bottom line. They are not primarily focused on the quality of life of the residents who live with the consequences. Central Park destroying Flagler Drive, an important north-south corridor for a park, is simply unacceptable. Flagler Drive is our city's scenic waterfront drive, sometimes used by ambulances returning from the Royal Park Bridge. This road should not be touched, and the iconic Bradley's restaurant not be impacted. Additional towers on our historical narrow streets should not be approved. We will be smothered with towers like Miami. We are not a Miami, and we don't want to be a Miami. We are already overwhelmed with traffic at times, making it difficult to navigate our streets. People are not giving up cars. Cars are a way of life. Palm Beach Post, May 23rd. From 2020 to 2024, Palm Beach County population increased 3%, vehicle registration 7%. If people can't drive downtown, they'll go elsewhere, and business and residences, restaurants will suffer. Commissioner Sylvester's comments about e-bikes and scooters on sidewalks being dangerous to pedestrians is absolutely true and must be addressed. I've come close to being hit multiple times. They speed and show little consideration for pedestrians, even though sidewalks are built for people on foot. The idea of banning e-bikes and scooters from sidewalks is a terrific idea. However, it's also clear that this is happening because rules are abused and the danger has continued. I would support a ban with narrow exceptions for the very elderly and people with significant disabilities subject to speed limits not more than walking speed. Ideally, this should be handled by statewide. In closing, the quality of life for downtown West Palm residents must be taken seriously and must not be treated as an afterthought or placed second to other priorities.
Thank you very much.
I thank
Satima
you.
Fowler.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. My name is Satima Fowler, and I live in 201 South Narcissus, and I also serve as the president of the DNA, also known as Downtown Neighborhood Association. So I want to talk tonight about the perspective of the people who live downtown. At 5 p.m., when many of us go home to our families, we don't. We're still here. At 10 p.m., when a DJ on a rooftop bar is like cranking up the music and it ricochets off multiple buildings, and then it comes to our bedroom, we're still here. At 6 a.m. when the city blowers start outside our windows, we're still here. These are not complaints, these are just lived reality of downtown living. We experience downtown not just during business hours or special events, but every hour of every day. So let's talk about the DDA. The Downtown Development Authority, which is different than the DNA, was created to serve the specialized needs of downtown. And how is the DDA funded? Well, it's funded through property taxes. You know, half of it is paid by residential property owners and half of it is commercial property owners. And each stakeholder experiences downtown differently, and those perspectives matter in shaping good decisions. And so the DNA exists for a reason. Matter of fact, before I became the president, I understood the DNA to be part of the DDA. The DDA used to fund the DNA, I think it was in terms of $8,000 a year. But since then, there is no funding and it's been separated. So the communication channel is not the way it used to be because the DNA needs to be part of the DDA so that the DDA can get more resident input. But the DNA exists for this reason. We advocate for the safety, well-being, and quality of life of downtown residents. So when we heard about the DDA appointment, or when we saw it on the consent calendar for this meeting, that the commission was going to vote in Jordan Ratliff from Related, and we have nothing against Jordan Ratliff, but it was going to replace a downtown resident. And these, you know, who represents us really matters, so we spoke out to all of you, sent letters, we've been doing meetings. It's frankly been a really hard week for most of us since we're all volunteers. But the level of public interest, I mean, it shouldn't take this much effort to elect a DDA board member, but the outcry, like our Gmail account is like now is saying is full. The outcry is that people care about who's representing them. So these decisions by the DDA directly affect the neighborhood where we live and pay taxes, and DDA appointments, these board appointments, as they move forward, we simply ask that resident representation continue to be a priority. And ideally, we would like to see many downtown residents serving on the 7-member board alongside a balanced representation from commercial property owners, and no single perspective should have a disproportionate influence. Finally, I offer this. The DNA is here as a resource. We're not troublemakers. Our members are very educated. We live across all parts of downtown, and we hear all different perspectives, and we can offer that to you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
John McNamara.
Mayor James, commissioners, thank you for your service. I live at 201 South Narcissus Avenue.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
Esplanade Grand Building.
Please state your name for the record, sir.
John McNamara is my name, sir. I'm here as a concerned citizen about the Flagler shift that is being contemplated, moving Flagler inward toward the west. I think that taking what is my understanding is what is contemplated is taking 4 lanes and jamming it into 2 and going right down Narcissus Avenue, and you're taking a quiet, narrow city street and you're putting a highway on it in terms of the amount of traffic. I urge you to do traffic studies not in July, but in November, when you can actually make an enlightened, informed decision. Trying to jam that much traffic into that street is a recipe for disaster, both from a congestion standpoint and from an emergency services standpoint. Somebody's going to get killed. We have a valet service that operates right in front of our building in the Esplanade Grand, and we've had some near misses just on that street. You turn that into a two-way traffic situation, especially with people going as fast as they're going on Flagler, and you're going to have lots of accidents. So I urge you to be thoughtful there. I also echo the comments about the DDA composition. I think that we, the taxpayers and we, should get the proper representation in order to be able to make those decisions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Amy Triggs.
Good evening, Amy Triggs, 208 Monroe Drive in West Palm Beach. I want to start by saying I'm not against growth. Growth is coming whether we like it or not. It's a natural part of a successful and desirable city, but growth becomes a problem when it moves faster than our ability to support it. What concerns me is not growth itself. What concerns me is growth without a plan. Would any responsible developer start building a 30-story tower without first making sure the foundation can support it? Of course not. Before the first shovel hits the ground, engineers study the foundation. They calculate the loads. They evaluate the water, sewer, electrical, and safety systems. Every part of that building is designed to handle the demand that would be placed on it. No developer would gamble that the foundation might not be strong enough or would say they will somehow adapt later if the systems proved inadequate. Why? Because capacity, what a system can handle, has to come before the demand that is placed on the system. That's common sense in construction and in engineering, and it should be common sense in city planning. Our roads, water systems, sewer systems, schools, parks, and emergency services are the foundation that supports our community. And when thousands of new residents are added, those systems feel the impact. More cars on the roads. More water flows through the pipes. More wastewater enters the sewer system. More calls are made to police, fire, and emergency services. More families use our parks and public facilities. None of this is a surprise. These are predictable consequences of growth. And because they're predictable, they should be planned for. If no responsible developer would build a tower without first verifying that the foundation can support it, why should a city approve major developments without first verifying that our infrastructure can support the additional growth? I'm not anti-development. It's responsible development and smart planning that I'm for. And it's what my fellow residents and I expect from our local government and you all. Please consider the future of our city instead of automatically approving every project that comes before you. Growth without proper planning can permanently change the character of our city, and it already has. You should never prioritize more buildings over people who live here, because once these projects are approved and built, there's no undo button. The decisions made by you all will shape our city for decades. My daughter lives in Greenville, South Carolina, and is one of the most charming and well-planned cities I've visited. I followed the city's updates on social media, and recently the city manager shared a message that really struck me. She said, Greenville is growing and we're growing smart. Growth is expected, but it's being intentionally shaped. She went on to say that growth that is unchecked and unguided is not what we're pursuing. The question is not whether we will grow, but how we will manage it. That's the conversation we should be having here. Not whether growth should happen, but how it should happen. So I'm not asking you to stop growth, but I'm asking you to manage it wisely and responsibly. You owe it to current and future residents to get it right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. I have 4 more names here. Colleen Broderick, Lisa Selby, Michael Cleveland, and Michelle Farmer. Colleen Broderick.
Good evening. My name is Colleen Broderick. I live at 236 Churchill Road, born and raised here. And I've lived in LA for 30 years, so I've been here for about 5. And the change that's happening is shocking. And I know it's progress to some, but I see our city not having enough infrastructure as it is. Our roads, our sidewalks, our curbs. I've been working with Public Works, and they just don't have enough people. They don't have enough funding. So to see what you're about to build on Flagler with all the traffic that's bringing is just frankly shocking and sad. And I think a lot of us really care, but we don't have enough time. So I'm asking you all to pause a little bit on all this development and let the residents get together so they can, have a voice. And I think it matters. People over profits are important because this has always been a charming city. And I don't know how much of time you spent in LA, but it also used to be a charming city. And we need a little bit of pause. This is too much, too fast. And I think more money to the roads, the sidewalks, the street signs. I mean, we have street signs in my neighborhood that you can't read, they're so old. They're peeling. We have sidewalks that have like 6 inches where elderly people are falling and breaking their legs. So, you know, there's more important things than development. And I just ask you to take pause and let us all have a voice. Thank you.
Lisa Selby. Lisa Selby. Last time, Lisa Selby or Felby. Okay, she did right on here. I'm very concerned about the development and waterfront, especially rerouting Flagler Drive. Okay. Michael Cleveland.
Good evening again, Michael Cleveland. For years, I've been fighting for the improvement of Pleasant City. When I drive up around Northwood between 45th and 36th, FEC and Windsor, see all the improvement of roads and everything going. It makes me both angry and sad. I don't know, maybe it's the fact that it's a black neighborhood I'm asking to be improved. Gaines Park, they have an Olympic-sized pool over there. Is it ever used? Seems to me we should have some kind of, the city should have some kind of events, at least monthly over there, swimming and whatever. And then in summertime again, you know, I was on you guys last year about summer swimming for youth that know how to swim. I hope you will sponsor some this year. What is the fee for transporting a patient by fire department to the hospital? Also, Fire Station 1, 15 years ago, I made comments about the landscape around it, and they told me it was going to be something done in 2 years, but I don't see anything improving on that as yet. Yet we want to have assessments for things that's not being done. I want to speak briefly also on the crossing that you're proposing from Fern Street. I'm somewhat puzzled because that on-ramp to Okeechobee is 1 lane, and you got traffic coming from 4 different directions. North on Australia, Banyan, the Fern Street area, and coming from the south on Australia, all going into that 1 on-ramp to hit Okeechobee. And you think that's not going to be a big bottleneck there for a long time? And not to mention that the traffic on Okeechobee trying to get to 95, that's always confusing. I wish you success on that crossing, but I see a lot of problems. Thank you for your time. Enjoy your evening.
Thank you very much. Michelle Farmer.
Good evening. Hi, I'm Michelle Farmer. I live at 1209 North Flagler Drive. I just wanted to ask everyone here tonight, how would you like to be remembered? Tonight is one of those decisions. What is at stake is not simply a zoning change, a height increase, or a setback reduction. What is at stake is the future character of our city, the health of our environment, the legacy we leave to the generations that will call this place home long after we're gone. That is why this discussion must be more than about just buildings. It must be about stewardship. I'm not opposed to progress. I embrace it. And I'm certainly not opposed to helping our workforce live in our community. What I support is thoughtful growth, growth that strengthens our city without sacrificing the very qualities that make it special. The proposal before us suggests that by increasing building heights, reducing setbacks, and granting greater density, we can solve our workforce and affordable housing challenges. But before we permanently alter our city, we must ask a simple question. How long will these units actually remain affordable? When those affordable requirements expire, then what remains? The taller buildings stay, the traffic increases, the infrastructure is stretched, and environmental impacts become permanent. We should not make permanent concessions based on temporary promises. And we should be wary of any developer who presents these concessions as a gift to our city. A gift asked for nothing in return. This proposal asks our residents and future generations to pay the price. Every increase in height, Every reduction in setbacks and every increase in density places additional pressure on our roads, drainage systems, water resources, public safety, and quality of life. These impacts may seem small when viewed one project at a time, but cities are not transformed by one decision. They are transformed by a series of decisions that all of you here will be making. A variance is never just one variance. A height increase is never just one building. Every exception becomes a precedent for the next exception until one day we realize that the city we inherited is not the city we're leaving behind. The message from the residents is clear. More than 3,500, actually, I think we're up to 5,000 now, people have signed a petition. We've created it's called Protect the Palm, and I think many of you have received letters from us, and you're aware probably at this point, because I know a number of people have reached out to you. This is not a call to stop growth.
Thank you very much.
All right,
thank you.
Thank you.
Jeffrey Harris. Jeffrey Harris.
Jeffrey Harris, 215 Winona Place, West Palm Beach. Ladies and gentlemen of the Commission, I'm here based on the recent approval of the proposed design for 3773 South Flagler Drive. We need far more citizen input to these decisions before approval is granted. We need a well-thought-out Flagler overlay added to the current land use regulations. There is little, if any, neighborhood support for the current density and building typology proposed for the waterfront property within these neighborhoods, both along South Flagler and North Flagler Drive. Therefore, we need a moratorium on any current and future projects in the pipeline until said research is complete and publicly available and the overlay is in place. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. We do have one last card from a Lorraine Rom. He or she does not wish to speak. This comment is being read. Flagler Drive must remain as it is. There is no room on Narcissus. Okay. Those are all the cards, and we'll now turn to comments from the dais. We'll begin with you, President Peduzzi.
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to briefly thank the residents that have come here today, the residents and citizens to come here, express their views and their opinions. I think that when our residents do that, I think it's evidence of a healthy city where the citizens and residents are engaged, they care about their community, and they're come here to express their views. We are listening. We may not always agree, but we are listening and we do hear you. Concerning the comments about the makeup of our DDA, Downtown Development Authority Board, I agree in general that the makeup of the board should reflect the residents and businesses that it serves. But with that being said, I don't necessarily think that that would preclude a major landowner or a developer from being involved in the process, especially considering the work that the DDA does in keeping our streets clean and safe. I would think that a developer or a major landowner in the downtown would have just as much of a reason to want to make sure that those things happen, that the residents are safe, that the streets are clean, as a downtown resident or a downtown business owner would. I have committed to taking a look when that issue comes before us to make sure that any nomination that's made by our mayor and this administration are reflective of the body of the DDA as a whole, the residents it serves, the businesses it serves, and just to make sure that there's a broad range of representation on that body. But I do take issue with some of the comments that say that a member of a developer or a major landowner should be precluded from being on that board. And I think as it stands right now, there are no members of that particular development company on the board. There is an employee of Marriott Hotels that works for a hotel that is owned by a developer. But that's something entirely different. He was appointed to that board long before these issues were raised about this developer's representation on the board. So as I said, I will take a closer look when it comes in front of us. It's not coming in front of us right now, is my understanding, but if it does, I think it should be reflective of the citizens, businesses that it represents. Thank you.
Commissioner Fox.
Thank you. Thank you to everyone that came out tonight. I have a long list of things that I heard, and I don't want to address them all, but I think what is clear is that I think that there have been some trust issues that over the past few months, that we have maybe more people that are engaged now than ever before, and that is a good thing. I think that is good for all of the projects that we have moving forward to make sure that we have additional community engagement. I have to say that I have attended at least 6 public meetings over the last year just about the downtown master plan, and I've tried my best to invite everyone I knew to every meeting, I think beginning since last February or March, and there were probably less people in every meeting than there are in this room right now, because I think sometimes people don't understand the impacts of all the things that go into something called, a downtown master plan until something comes out where it makes them worry that, and I guess become skeptical of the process. And I will definitely say that there were some things that came out that we also were not aware of. But I think we all do our best to listen to everything that you're saying. One of the things I do worry about with the downtown master plan is the infrastructure. When we hear that our engineering staff has 7 openings, and some of our other departments are understaffed at the moment as well, that I want to make sure that we have the employees to be able to doing the work that we already have. Roosevelt Estates is a good example. Some of the members of Roosevelt Estates were here tonight. They didn't all speak, but they have an $8 million road project, and we haven't been able to have anyone from the city come talk to them in over a year because we were just completely understaffed. And the work continues, but that's a very big project, and I want to make sure that we have the attention to the things that we have already planned before we start taking other things on. But to say that, just another, I guess, way to say it too is that we have a downtown master plan that is already in place for the last 20 years. And it's not that much different than what we're looking at moving forward. We already have, landowners are already allowed by right to build 15 or 20 stories in many areas. We can't legally shut it down. I think I heard someone say, asking us to legally pause. We can't pause that, all the development. We can't, if somebody owns a property, we can't tell them they can't build on it. So I think we need to just make sure that we're doing the best we can to, ensure that there's mobility in place, that the infrastructure can support whatever moves forward. I mean, even if we did nothing, and just keeping the downtown master plan that we have, people can still by right build things that might be taller than some people here would like to see. So I think what we need to really focus on is ensuring that our city, our staff, that we're up for the job and that we're taking into account. We have to find more ways for people to get around, and we are doing things like that. I think we could start promoting better the Fern Street crossing that has been in the works for many years. We're close to having the funding for that, which would be an additional road coming downtown. Fern Street would be open to Australian and alleviate about 10,000 cars a day from Okeechobee. There's many other things in the works. We have a new mobility provider that should be coming on board in the next few months that will circulate from the east of 95 from the southernmost part to the northernmost part of our city to help people get around. I think these are really exciting things that we should focus on as well. But just to wrap up, I want you to know that where we are listening, I'm getting the emails. I think I have gotten 1,300 emails about the Good Sam proposal, so I haven't responded to every single one, but I can tell you that I'm reading them. And the concerns about the DDA, I've heard those as well. My understanding is that there are 4 positions coming open, and I am not aware of what the other appointments will be, and so I want to understand that before I commit to anything. But if you call or email my office and have anything else you want to talk to more in depth, I am always willing to hear from you and do my best to make sure that you feel well represented. That's all I have. Thanks.
Commissioner Sylvester.
Thank you. I echo exactly what President Peduzzi and Commissioner Fox state. You know, it warms my heart to see more and more people show up and to give your opinion, your feelings on what's going on. I was born and raised here. I ran for commission because I really care about our city. A lot of the items that are coming up, like what you're mentioning with the Good Sam project and some of the others, I mean, that is an emotional topic for all of us. And I'm going to do my best to listen to both sides, especially to the residents. You guys are not telling us anything different than we haven't heard before. We need to pay attention, we need to honor what you're saying and do things the right way. And I have every bit of faith that we will, and you guys hold us accountable. Just keep doing it. And I'm still getting out there. Like I said, I'm the new kid on the block, and getting to those neighborhood meetings, probably I've learned more in the past month, and I thought I knew everything when I came in here, but there's a lot more to learn. And I want to do my best. You guys keep emailing us, calling us, doing whatever it can. It only makes, to me, it makes our job easier. When we know where we stand, we know where you stand. So keep it up. On the positive note, our Trader Joe's in District 5 opened up. We're happy. I've been there 3 times this week. No more driving out to Wellington. And I'm looking forward to what else is going to be happening down there. Also, I had the opportunity to attend, hold on a minute, I just took my glasses off. I'm not sure if I need them or not. Escribiendo Nuestra Historia. And what does that mean? Anybody know? Okay. There we go, writing our history at Don Ramon's. And it's an inspiring initiative led by our Latin Quarter community to document and preserve the stories, traditions, and contributions of Hispanic families throughout Palm Beach County. The gathering served as the official launch of this long-term effect and brought together community leaders, organizations, educators, businesses, and residents to begin a collaborative process of collecting stories, photographs, documents, and historical records. This important initiative seeks to honor the experiences, sacrifices, achievements, and contributions of Hispanic families across generations, recognizing the vital role that they played in shaping our county through agriculture, business, education, medicine, law, public service, the arts, faith, and entrepreneurship. Preserving these stories ensures that future generations understand and appreciate the rich cultural legacy that continues to strengthen our community. Additionally, I attended the West Palm Beach Rotary Scholarship Recipient Showcase. I was also pleased to participate in the ribbon cutting for Temple Israel. And I want to thank everyone who organized, participated in, and supported these events. That's all I have.
Thank you. Commissioner Warren.
Thank you. I always love when I have an opportunity to support our small businesses. And this past weekend, that business was Don Ramon, and it was phenomenal. And I don't know what people will say about the events, but they will absolutely say that the food was delicious. There was nothing left. And so thank you to them for the phenomenal job that they did in supporting the events that I hosted this past weekend. And I too want to thank the residents who took the time to email us, call, or come out and speak tonight. I know that public speaking, especially in this type of environment, is not always easy, but thank you for taking the time to come out and to express yourselves and to hopefully feel that your thoughts and the way that you feel and that those things do not fall on deaf ears. We do hear you. We may not always agree, but your points are important and always taken into consideration. And you are an important part of what makes local government work, because you have access to people that are close to you that can understand the things that you're saying and take those things into consideration as decisions are made. So do know that your voice does matter, and that you're the most important part to democracy. So that's it. And I would also like to say that people are coming out to support causes that are important to them. There were a tremendous amount of people that came out to support World Sickle Cell Day. There was a phenomenal speaker by the name of Dr. Shah who came in from Duke University to be the keynote speaker. And he was what every care provider should be. He showed that he led with his heart, even though he does lead in research. It was important to know that people matter to him, and that's what resonated with me the most this weekend, aside from seeing a visible tornado here in Palm Beach County this Saturday. Thank you for all coming out. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your hearts.
Commissioner Ward.
Thank you. I wanted to make a couple announcements for local events that are going on. This year marks the 4th anniversary for Florida A&M's Cooperative Extension Services in the city, and we're celebrating with the 4th annual Grow in the Garden at Coleman Park Community Garden. That's located at 1116 21st Street. If you guys haven't been to Coleman Park, we opened up the community center very recently, and it's very active and lively with a lot of community members. They just had a Juneteenth celebration there over the weekend, and so if you have time tomorrow between 2 and 6, please join them. There's enjoy prizes and surprises, and it's one of the areas that we have our community gardens located. And then also on Friday night is another Nights in Northwood Village from 6 to 9. And if you haven't been to Northwood, please check it out. It's filled with a lot of local businesses and wonderful art, and it's always a good time. Events has been hosting great events since they took over, and I'm very appreciative of that. And so turning to the topic at hand from all of you, one, I want to echo my colleagues. Thank you for showing up. I appreciate it. Hearing from you all is very important, and while I too have received hundreds and hundreds of emails on the Good Sam development, I'm reviewing them. I'm not responding to all of them, but I am seeing them. And so if the organization that's representative in that area wants to reach out to actually have a discussion with me on it, I'm happy to entertain that, versus just receiving emails from residents that I honestly don't recognize most of the names and haven't really heard from anybody local personally. So I would love to hear from someone local within that, either the adjacent neighborhood or whether it's somewhere else in District 1. But that's one thing that I would like to further engage on versus just hearing repetitive the same email over and over again. And just, I know it doesn't sound necessarily positive, but I would love it if I got more questions than accusations in some of these emails. I feel like some of the emails, especially with the DDA, have been a little bit misinformed as to what exactly the DDA does and does not do. And that's okay. There's just like Commissioner Sylvester said, there are things that we are constantly learning about that no resident necessarily should be tasked with knowing every single committee, every single organization, what they do and what they don't do. But I just ask that you ask questions and stop leading with assumptions, because we're all here working together with you to make the city great. We live here too. We raise our families here. And so I just want to leave you with that, is that I'm always open to have conversations, and always open to, if I don't know the answer to your question, finding that out. But lead with curiosity and empathy. I feel like we will get a heck of a lot more done and constructive than automatically assuming that we are the enemy and that we don't know what you're feeling. And that's some of the mentality that I'm seeing in some of these emails that I couldn't not say something about, because I think it's farthest from the truth. We're here to work with you and make this city wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you. I just also want to thank people for showing up and expressing their opinion. That's what democracy is all about. I did want to take a moment to recognize Jade Green. She was here earlier, but she's not, so she'll have to turn on the tape of this meeting. Jade Green, who is head of the city's HCD, Department of Housing and Community Development, recognized her for her appointment as the City of West Palm Beach's LGBTQ+ liaison. Jade has demonstrated a strong commitment to serving our residents through her work as Director of Housing and Community Development, and I'm confident she will bring that same dedication to this important role. You know, West Palm Beach is a community where everyone should feel welcome, valued, and connected. Jade will help strengthen the city's engagement with the LGBTQ+ community and ensure we continue building a community of opportunity for all. So congratulations, Jade, and thank you so much for your willingness to serve. As was alluded to earlier, this Friday, June 26th, is Nights in Northwood Village. So come out, spend an evening in one of West Palm Beach's most unique and vibrant neighborhoods at Nights in Northwood Village from 6 to 9 p.m. This free community event celebrates the culture, creativity, and entrepreneurial spirit that make our city special. Enjoy live music, explore more than 50 vendors featuring art, fashion, handmade goods, vintage finds, and local cuisine, and experience the unique energy of Northwood Village. Whether you're shopping or dining or simply enjoying the atmosphere, it is a great opportunity to support local businesses and connect with the community. So we hope to see many of you there. Our annual Fourth on Flagler celebration returns on Saturday, July 4th from 5 to 10 p.m. along the downtown waterfront. This year's event will be especially memorable as we celebrate America's 250th birthday during South Florida's largest free outdoor independent celebration. Residents and visitors can enjoy live entertainment across 3 stages, a patriotic flag unfurling ceremony, a kids interactive zone, food and refreshments, and activities for the entire family. And this year, the celebration will feature the Florida Crystals High Energy Laser Show, synchronized with an 18-minute fireworks spectacular over the Intracoastal Waterway. Join us for what promises to be one epic 4th as we celebrate our nation's history, freedom, and enduring spirit. For more information, visit WPB.org/4th. That is WPB.org/4th, the number and then TH, not the word spelled out. Hurricane season, and finally, before I conclude, I want to remind everyone that hurricane season is now underway. The Atlantic hurricane season officially began on June 1st and continues through November 30th. Now is the time to make sure you and your family are prepared. Review your emergency plans, assemble or replenish your disaster supply kits, and stay informed throughout the season. Preparation today can make all the difference if and when a storm threatens our area. Our city departments have been preparing year-round, and we encourage residents to do the same. For hurricane preparedness, resources, and updates, please visit WPB.org/hurricane. That's WPB.org/hurricane. That concludes my remarks for tonight. Good night, and God bless you, and God bless the great city of West Palm Beach. This meeting is adjourned.